To give us their measure of the state of South Africa's democracy, we're joined now by Defend Our Democracy Chair, Reverend Moss Ntlha. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. You've put your stamp of approval on the outcome of the election results, broadly calling them free and fair, but you believe the IEC needs to improve its performance. Talk us through some of the election shortcomings.
Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, we've come to the conclusion after all of the observations that our observers on the ground were able to pick up, along with other, I think the Defend Our Democracy collaborated with other observer organizations, so civil society, and all of us are of the mind that, all things considered, the elections were fair and free. There were obviously some minor incidents that are of concern, such as people spending long hours in queues and some voting stations starting late and having to work through the night. And all sorts of issues like that. People arrive at voting stations and are told they are not registered to vote at that station. So, all of these, I think, can be broadly categorized as administrative ones, which could be remedied in some way. And we believe that they don't pose a statistically significant factor to the extent of impinging on the freeness and the fairness of these elections. So, as Defend Our Democracy, we are on record as saying, in our view, these can be taken as free and fair. Those areas were of concern where political parties have reason to believe that there were issues that need to be looked at. We believe they have every right to do that, and we would call upon the IEC, obviously, to consider those. And indeed, the IEC was of the view at the point of announcing the election that they have given due consideration to those matters that were raised by the political parties. Our view is that even so, I think the parties are still entitled to approach the courts, the electoral court, or the courts of the land to adjudicate between what they feel are legitimate concerns against what the IEC is saying.
Of course, we know, Reverend, that the MK party is one such party which has voiced some concern and wanting to ensure that they are given that opportunity and platform to have their grievances addressed.
Correct, yeah. I think the signals from the MK party have been very confusing. At one stage, there was a claim that they were expecting two-thirds majority, and that they are confident that they have won two-thirds majority. And now, because the leaderboard doesn't show that, there was a sense in which they're dissatisfied with that. Now, we believe they have to be more concrete than that in terms of presenting evidence that suggests that there's reason to believe that they got the short end of the stick. But it's up to those parties that are coming alongside to the MK party to put together a coherent and believable case about their concerns. And certainly they must be given a hearing. Certainly they must, in the end, feel that our public institutions have done justice, our courts have done justice to their queries. But we certainly expect that the MK parties will abide by the rulings of the courts with regard to that if it does go to court. What we don't want to see is a threat such as we've heard, that there might be a destabilization of our society as a result of the fact that they have not won.
We know that, look, we heard Police Minister Bheki Cele speaking quite a great deal about that yesterday, saying that it's simple. Anyone who breaks the law will be held to account. Now, the outcome of these elections means that the era of coalitions is now upon us, because for the first time, the ANC will have to seek coalition partners to govern. We know that the governing party has a range of potential partners, but early negotiations are suggesting that no deal will be easy.
Well, that's correct. I think from the very inception of our democracy, I think everybody will remember Nelson Mandela having a cup of coffee with Betsy Verwoerd, who was the wife of the architect, or the widow of the architect of apartheid. Now, I think that was a signal for all South Africans that the future is about finding each other in some way. And so I think we probably squandered most of the last 30 years and thought that we could dodge this issue. The electorate has imposed these coalitions upon us to figure out how as South Africans we can make South Africa work for the common good. And I think it's an important historic moment that we must embrace with courage and accept all of the perils that lie with it. But I believe that we can figure it out.
Yeah, I'm hoping, Reverend, that our line will hold for a little bit longer. We know that parties have a 2-week deadline to elect a president, and some analysts are even saying that the ANC will likely need to concede to an array of demands to bring others on board for a coalition government. What are some of these considerations that need to be taken into account as the ANC schedules several top-level meetings this week to try and crystallize its coalition plans?
Well, in our view, I think the primary issues, and I suspect that a lot of the political parties that are in the mix will have similar concerns, would be that there ought to be a commitment to really implement the findings of the Zondo Commission, which flagged the issue of corruption. And the ruling party is chiefly to blame with regard to those findings. And so it would make sense that all parties would be in agreement about that corruption should be history, and that indeed every consideration will be made to put South Africa first.
Yeah,
I think there are parties that tend to take the party first, but there's a time to move towards a place where the country is more important than the party.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. We leave it there for now. Defend Our Democracy Chair, Reverend Moss Ntlha, just giving some reaction there on the outcome of the elections and, of course, some of the suggestions around moving forward and the future of coalition government.